Hello strangers, and welcome to my channel Arthurian Times, which is about strangeness and strange things and what do they mean. And it was such a beautiful evening that I thought, I'd just come out for a little walk, and I thought I'd talk about something that I've hardly ever talked about, even to my closest friends here in the village, and maybe a couple of my family. And my wife also says, don't talk about it, because it's something that people don't like to talk about, because you can be labelled something, you can be labelled as like, I don't know, a strange person, I guess. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, of course it's in the title, so I've given it away already. But if you look over here, I think my fingers are altering the... If you look over here across the fjord there's a village there, right? And in the 1970s, a man from that village there, he saw a submarine rise up out of the water somewhere here. And he was pretty certain that it was a Russian submarine, and it was in the newspaper, and for about 30 years, even 40 years, he was laughed at and ridiculed for saying that he saw a submarine. But he stuck to his guns, but still he had to live with that ridicule. And it became like a joke in this area. Oh, I saw a submarine, it's like a joke. But then about 7 years ago, it was actually proven that a Russian submarine did actually come here. And they've been coming secretly in the fjords of Norway for a long time. And of course, this was under the Cold War in the 1970s. But what I think is sad, that he never got an apology. In my view, he should have got a public apology for the ridicule he went through. In fact, I might write to the newspaper about that, the local newspaper, and say that guy needs an apology because he stuck to his guns. So that's kind of the basis of what I'm talking about, is saying that you see things and you stick to your guns with what you saw, despite the ridicule that you might get. And of course, what I'm talking about is the day that I saw a UFO myself, or something unusual myself. And today they call them UAPs, don't they? What's the unidentified aerial phenomenon they call them? And that in itself, I think, is kind of like a clue that something real is going on. And the only reason why I feel a little bit more open that I can talk about these things is because of the revelations of ex-Top Gun fighter pilot David Fravor, who talks about the Nimitz encounters. And if you haven't heard about the Nimitz encounters, I recommend that you type it in YouTube, and it'll soon come up, and you'll see the footage caught by not by David Fravor. He's the one who actually chased the UFO, which is now known as the Tic Tac UFO. And you can see the footage which was actually filmed by the pilot after him, when David Fravor came back and another pilot went out called Chad Underwood, and he actually filmed that now very, very famous footage, which some believe has been debunked, but it hasn't been, and is being taken very seriously now by scientists and even by the American government. But even with that, there's still a sense of that you could be ridiculed.
You see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out, and Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
Now, was the aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, never felt threatened at all.
If the aircraft was armed, do you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would have just left in a split second.
It looks like that we have a problem here that needs further investigation.
Yes.
Hey, you guys seeing us? What is that?
As the Super Hornets approach the target, they see a disturbance on the ocean surface. It's about the size of a 737, and it looks like something could be just below the surface.
100, anchor here, Angels 2-4. Roger. Charlie, fast Eagle. We're observing something in the water here, possibly aircraft in the water at the merge plot, just north of our position, about 2 miles. Charlie, roger. I'm descending to Angels 14 to take a look.
Do you think that's our unknown?
Man, not sure. Radar's clean.
As soon as he got to the merge plot position, the object that he was intercepting dropped from 28,000 feet down to 50 feet above the water in 0.78 seconds, as I found out later the next day.
As the Super Hornets get closer to the ocean disturbance, he suddenly spots another craft above it, a much smaller white object with an oblong shape, hovering, then darting just above the waves. The object is moving around erratically, seemingly focused on the white water. The shape is similar to a Tic Tac. It's smooth like porcelain. It's not an airplane. Suddenly, the object begins to rise into the air. The strange craft begins mirroring the turn rate of Fast Eagle.
And I admit, you know, as a teenager, I used to watch this show in the it'd be the 1970s. You know, I'd come home from school and it'd be on TV, and it was called, oh God, what was it called? Project Blue Book, which talked or told, it was like reconstructions of files in the Project Blue Book case files that were actually classified as unexplained.
Ezekiel saw the wheel. This is the wheel he said he saw. These are unidentified flying objects that people say they are seeing now. Are they proof that we are being visited by civilizations from other stars? Or just what are they? The United States Air Force began an investigation of this high strangeness in a search for the truth. What you are about to see is part of that 20-year search.
And, you know, I used to dream of one day seeing a UFO. But then as I got older, I kind of came to this conclusion that it was all nonsense and gave up on this idea. Because, you know, I'm interested in physics and sciences and how a ship from, you know, light years away could get here just seems to defy, you know, what we know of as our understanding of physics. But of course there's, you know, now that we've moved on, haven't we, you know, that there's could be extra dimensions, there could be, you know, this spooky what do they call it, something spooky action at a distance. And, you know, the latest thinking is that reality is actually digital. That's a virtual reality, and that, of course, would change all the rules of physics as we know it. But who really knows for sure? We don't know anything for sure. But what I do know for sure is what I saw. And I've come up here to kind of give you a better view of what I saw. But first of all, I'll tell you exactly what happened. So it was the 21st of February 2004, and my brother-in-law was coming to help with some house repairs, and I'd never met him before. It was the first time he'd come to our house, and of course there was a lot of snow here, quite deep snow. And when he came, we had to dig a bit of snow away from in front of the garage so that he could park his car. And as we're digging the snow away, I saw a light across the fjord over the mountain. It was getting closer and closer, just like a sparkly light, you know. And of course my first thought was a helicopter, because I've seen many helicopters here, and they're often the ambulance helicopter, which I've been taken in myself. If anybody's seen my videos on Lyme disease, of how I was taken in a helicopter because I was screaming in agony. So, and I often go out for walks in the evening like I am now, and you see helicopters and aeroplanes. And the thing about it is that because of all the mountains, right, a helicopter can be heard from miles away because the sound bounces off all the mountains, you see. But this light coming across the mountains had no sound at all. So that's the first thing that caught my attention. And I thought, that's a bit strange. I was kind of waiting for the sound to come, but no sound came. And then, of course, I'm stopped digging now, and my brother-in-law, Alfred, he's digging. I said, and the light comes and it stops above the mountain, just hovers there. And I'm guessing it would be, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 feet above the mountain. So, and it's just kind of hovering there, and it's kind of like going like this, you know. The light's kind of sparkling like this, back and forth like this. See, like this kind of sensation. And so I says to her, Alf, have a look at this light over here. Don't you think that's a bit strange? But he just carries on digging. He says, hang on a minute, just do this bit. So I started watching it. And the next thing you know, it goes down, straight down like that. And I thought, God, it's, you know, what is that? Still waiting for the sound of a helicopter. And then I realised by now that the light, the size of the light, is far bigger than what a helicopter light would be. So I'm watching it, and it just goes straight down, and I'm reckoning it's got to be no more than 100 feet from the ground now. And it's just hovering there doing this. You know, the best way I can describe it is, have you ever seen like a sea urchin? And they're like black, aren't they? Now if you reversed the black of that sea urchin so that it was pure white, you know, like the beams of light were sharp, you know, really sharp. So it's not like an ordinary light, it's as though the light beams were actually solid, okay? So I'm saying, Alf, have a look at this. I'm saying, Alf, Alf, and he's saying, in a minute, I'm nearly finished. Oh, it was frustrating me. So I'm standing there watching it, and I swear to God, it was as though it was like watching me. And it was as though, I know it's going to sound weird, this, and of course this is about strange things, and it was strange. It was as though it was reading me thoughts. You know, I thought to myself, hang on a minute, is this like a UFO? And all the hairs on my arms and my back of my neck started standing up. And if it was sending thoughts to my brain, those thoughts said, have no fear, we mean no harm. That's what it said, we mean no harm. I mean, what a fantastic message. So it was as though I had this mind link with this thing. And I'm saying, Alf, for God's sake, will you look? And he's just carrying on digging. Jesus, to this day it makes me laugh. It's just so irritating. So anyway, I thought, I'd just leave Alf. So I'm looking at it, and the next thing, it goes back up again to where it was before. And then it goes from side to side. Now, you've got to understand this, what I mean by how unusual this was, because the way it moved, it was as though it was not, you know, like things speed up. Like they speed up and then stop. It takes a bit to, this just didn't speed up. It just went from a standstill like that, bang, bang. And it was as though it hit an invisible wall. It just stops like that. And I knew then, I thought, helicopters can't do that. You know, you'll see a little bit of a slowdown. But this was just going like that, and then like that, and then like that. At incredible speed, and just stopping. And that's that. When I saw the, you know, they've done like a reconstruction of the Nimitz Tic Tac UFO, where David Fravor's looking down at the water, and the way this tic-tac-toe moves, as soon as I saw that, I knew it was the same thing. The way it was moving, the way it was stops instantly and moves, and like a zigzag kind of movement. And now I'm absolutely convinced that this is something. It's either got to be secret military craft that we, you know, signs that we've kept hidden, or it's alien, because there's no sound at all. So by now I'm like angry. I grabbed my brother-in-law's head and I turned his head. I said, look at this, because you know, I wanted a witness now. I wanted a witness. I didn't want to be just on my own, you know. I thought, God, I need a witness. Now, in 2004, we didn't have mobile phones with video, or did we? I think we could take a photo, couldn't we? But I don't remember we could do video. And I didn't have like, actually I did have a small video camera, but it was in the house. I didn't have it on me. So anyway, he turns to look at it, and he's trying to see where I'm aiming his head. And then this light, it was as though it didn't want Alf to see it, and it just flew off. Now, you got to understand what I mean here. The speed, the way this flew off at an upwards diagonal direction, it was a speed that took your breath away. I mean, you think about when you see a rocket in the sky. You know, a rocket's going in tremendous speed, but it looks slow, doesn't it? You know what I mean? If you see a rocket in the distance, it's going like that, isn't it? But this was just like a blink of an eye, and it took me breath away, straight upwards and into the sky. And all I can say is, I knew then that it was like not of this earth. Now, okay, I've theorized that, can it be like secret military technology? I've kind of like analysed it. Now, if it's secret military technology, then you've got to answer certain questions, haven't you? Because, first of all, what the hell are they flying secret military craft over a little village in Norway? You know, why are they doing that? See what I mean? Where it could be seen. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it? Especially to stop and hover and stuff like that. You've got like a million miles of nothingness. Million miles of like the top of the mountains where you could test fly stuff and nobody would ever see it. So you've got to answer that if it's secret technology. And then if you've got that kind of technology which can move like that Tic Tac UFO, then you've got to think that if America or some Western could have that technology, then they would be ruling the world without question, because they could fly into a land at a blink of an eye, drop a bomb, fly out in a blink of an eye, and you could that was a drone there above me, somebody flying a drone. Now, yeah, drones in 2004, did they have them then? I don't think so. Maybe if I saw it today, I would say maybe it was a drone, but even then, the speed. Okay, now here's a great place to show you where I saw it from, that mountain ahead of you there. So now I live down here, so I sees it first over here, and it comes along the top of the mountain here quite slowly. It's like it's following the top surface of the mountain, and then it comes up here and it stops right there, right here. Okay, and that's where it's sort of sparkling there, and then it comes down, like I say. Let me see, it comes down to the bottom there, hovers there, and then it's going back and forth, and it's from, let me see, from here it goes up, from there upwards there, like that. Anyway, for the next 10 years I set up a camera on a stand at the front window of my house, which overlooks that mountain. For 10 years I had it standing there so I could just switch it on, just in case it came back. And about 8 years ago I stopped doing that, because I've come into the belief that it's never going to come back. But like I say, if it's secret technology, then why are we making why are we still making these airplanes? I mean, they've got like this super Mach speeds now, aren't they? Now those military jets that can go, is it like Mach 4 or Mach 5 or something? To turn a corner at that speed, it's like the size of Texas to turn a corner. These things are just turning at a right angle at that speed.
Imagine something that had the ability to fly in space, underwater, and in our atmosphere at 13,000 miles an hour and change directions instantly. We fly the SR-71 at 3,200 miles an hour. If you wanted to take a right-hand turn, it would take you roughly half the state of Ohio to do it. And yet what we're seeing are objects that can do 90-degree turns instantly. And we're not talking about speeds of 3,200 miles an hour. They've been clocked at over 13,000. The question arises, how is that possible?
Are these beings from another galaxy or universe? These are questions that have to be answered.
I think the best way to characterize it is we're vulnerable. It's a vulnerability, and that vulnerability could be exploited, could be massively exploited. So that has to be a national security concern.
So if we've got that technology, then, you know, we would just rule the world. There's nothing could stop it, you know. You couldn't even fire it, it'd just move out the way. You know, even a missile would seem slow to these things. Just the speed alone and the movable ability gives you superiority over the sky. So I'm sorry, I'm convinced that they're not of this earth. Now whether this mind connection I had with this thing is just in my head, I don't know, but it felt very real, you know. And if I don't expect you to believe that, if it's not your experience, it's not your truth. But like I say to people, just because something didn't happen to you, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means it didn't happen to you. See? If it's your experience, then it's real for you. And who on this earth can say that what you experience is not truth? See, who has the right to say what you experience isn't real? Well, that would be arrogance beyond belief. So you see, I like to come up here sometimes and have a look at that mountain. It's right above me now, right in front of me. And, okay, I don't know if you can see right in the distance there's one of the ferries. And that ferry kind of is the way you see it now. You know, it's really hard to see it with this camera because it looks quite small. But that ferry, that's a car ferry. And the light was about the same size as that car ferry, see? So that's how I know it was not a helicopter, because it would be much more smaller. So it kind of moved way, way up. Let me see. From here right up to the sky and left the planet. It left the planet. You know, and I told my cousin about it. And you know what he said? Oh, it'll be a shooting star. Well, it's a good job I didn't have a gun, because I would have shot him. So I knew then you can't talk about these things, you know, you just laughed at. So that's my strange experience with a UFO, and it's a genuine sighting in my opinion. And it's funny how it happens when you're not expecting it, you know, the least expect it. Now, I don't expect anyone to believe me, but all I know is it happened to me. I saw it, and I don't like saying I believe things, but I know what I saw, and I'm convinced they're here. We're not alone. They're here. And once you realise, when you come to that stage where you think, you know what, we're not alone, you move past the question of, are UFOs real? And you come to another question of, well, where are they from? how long have they been here? Have they only just come here, or have they always been here? Are they from another planet? Are they from another dimension or another time? Are they from the ocean? You know? But I'm absolutely convinced it's not our technology. But the funniest question that I arrived at is, you know, this, where I live, it's a village in the middle of nowhere of Norway, you know. Now you tell me, if you're an alien, what the hell is so interesting up there? You know, tell me, what is so interesting? And if it's a military plane, what is so interesting up there? That's what makes me laugh. And I came to an idea the other day when I heard about in America they have these cattle, you know, like the cattle cow mutilations and stuff. And I started wondering, I wonder if they took a deer, because we have a lot of wild deer up in the mountains, and I mean there's thousands of them, there's thousands. Up that mountain there, it's like a city of wild deer. And I just wonder, you know, maybe they took one, who knows? I mean, there's got to be something up there, isn't there? And the other thing is, like, I always wonder, did anybody else see it? That I don't know, but like I say, when you live in a... I mean, the thing about it is, right, if I saw it, and it is alien, then you've got to think it was on radar, you know, which means that the powers that be must have seen it as well, you know. So anyway, I kept quiet about it, told very few people about it, but I thought it's about time we got it out there. I'm not frightened to speak the truth. That's what I saw. I'll stand by it. So there it is. One of the strange experiences of Arthurian times. So I'll leave it there, guys. Like usual, take care, give care, and be careful out there. See you in the next one.